On to this afternoon. Let me introduce my guest this afternoon. Naturalist, presenter, ecologist, and perhaps best known to me, at least, by the children of the 90s as well, as the start of the Really Wild Show.
I know, it's mental, isn't it? It's mental that still gets mentioned as well. It's such a long time ago now.
Now, I've seen you self-describe as a biophile.
Yes.
For anybody who's not familiar with the term.
Well, it's biophile is someone who has an affinity with nature. There's something about living things that attract you. So I always lean in. I'm fascinated by life, how it works together, adaptations, ecological complexities. I mean, the algorithm of any species, you just pick anything. You can pick a hoverfly, from a flower that's in the field behind you there, buzzing around on a daisy, and you look at it, and it's the algorithm of that creature, how it fits in, what it does, its backstory, its actual backstory as an individual. Its whole life cycle is full of secrets and questions and stuff. But then there's its evolutionary backstory is mind-blowing as well. And I could never be bored. I'm playing every day. Every day literally is an adventure. I know it sounds like really over-the-top exuberance, but it is true.
And so many people don't necessarily appreciate the value of those insects as well to the rest of the ecosystem and the things that people do think are a little bit sexier and a little bit more interesting. And of course, our specialism is birds of prey. Yeah. And there are so many species that are reliant. Do you see an abundance of predators around?
Yeah,
those sites?
You do. And you get a lot of, especially this time of year. So it's the ants obviously the ants are flying. You get a lot of birds, especially birds with youngsters. Because the other thing is, you might not like insects. I question that you've actually looked at them properly if you don't. But you might not like insects, but guaranteed you will like everything else that does eat insects or is linked to insects. So you do see a lot of predators gathering. And when you get that happening, it's quite interesting. The links are very obvious. It's not always obvious, but you get a lot of stuff going on. I had a black-headed gull that taken by a goshawk. And the black-headed gull was among. Was it black? It might have been a common gull actually. There was a bunch of gulls that had worked out that there was flying ants. I think it was probably another. So I'm getting really boring with ant names now. It doesn't have a common name. Formica lamani. It's one of the black ants that we find out on the moors where we are. It's quite a common ant, and they do these mass swarming, and the gulls. Just like black-headed gulls do with pavement ants, the same thing really. They're attracted to these swarms and they make these big sort of clouds in the air. The same clouds that turn up on radars and stuff, big densities things. And the gulls just zing into the middle of them and eat them. And I was watching this sort of festival of feathers as these birds were pulling to pieces these ants. And then a goshawk came out of nowhere. And this goshawk, there was woodland quite a way away, but it said, I'm going to leave my classic goshawk haunt and I'm going to take out one of these gulls while they're distracted.
Why not take the opportunity?
Exactly, yeah. So that's a very clear, predator eats predator, and it's all kicked off by my ants. So it's all there. So even the most irrelevant seeming things are connected. Yeah. I love that challenge as well. I play that game all the time.
I'm sort of thinking of that kind of classic link between raptors and invertebrates, things like a dragonfly. Being caught by a hobby.
Yeah. So dragonflies and hobbies,
magical moment.
They go together like sharks and teeth to me. It's like you see a lot of dragonflies, you go, where's the hobby? And it goes the same, emperor moths as well. So you be out on the moors, emperor moth is our only silk moth, so it's a native species of silk moth. Stunning things, if you don't know what I'm talking about. They're lovely, beautiful eye spots, day-flying moth as well. So it's one of and it bucks all of the classic views on moths. It's not dull and it's not nighttime. It's a very big, beautiful, stunning day-flying moth in your face. Chunky, fat body, not a lot of fuzz on it. But because it's got a big fat body, it's got lots of fat on it to fuel its short life. And of course, hobbies love that. Yeah. And watching hobbies, it's slightly bittersweet because I like the moths, but seeing hobbies dismembering my favourite moth is quite something. And there's something very poetic. You see the hobby come in and you just go, there's another moth gone. And as the hobby flies off, it processes it in flight. So I love the dexterity of a hobby as it sits there holding the unfortunate insect in its talons, and it rips the wings off because they have very little energetic value at all. And it rips the wings off and they come sort of falling down like confetti. And if you've got a bunch of hobbies feeding on dragonflies over a particularly fine, rich southern pond or I say southern because I don't see them very. I'm from the Cairngorm. I'm living in the Cairngorm now, so I don't see hobbies very often. We do see them occasionally, but not like down on the levels, Somerset levels. I remember days on the levels seeing hobbies in huge numbers. and just watching them, when I say huge numbers, 4 or 5 hobbies over a small pond, just laying into the dragonflies, and you see all these wings coming down, and they're all catching the light like confetti. It's quite poetic.
It's a morbid beauty.
Dark but poetic, yeah.
So we sort of talk about the connection between insects and birds of prey and how important they are to support the kind of the higher up the food chain predators. And one that always springs to mind to me as well is the little owl, which is a species we look after through our nest boxes. And so I've put a few things that might be fairly familiar to you along.
Oh, they are for us. I thought they were nibbles for later.
Yeah, well, you never know. Get peckish. They've been through somebody once, so you never know.
Yeah.
Might be up your street. I've got 2 different types of pellets here from owls.
Yeah.
And if anybody's unsure what a pellet is, it is the kind of regurgitated matter, essentially, of anything that the owl can't digest. So it's all the bones, all of the fur, all of the feathers if they've eaten a bird.
That's quite an uncomfortable moment, isn't it?
It is.
And when you see them doing it, it doesn't look nice. I mean, they kind of do it regularly. I used to keep owls, so I've watched these things being coughed up hundreds of times, but there is something about it. And you see them doing it, and you think, God, I'm glad I don't have to do that every day.
Yeah.
I mean, and even, a bad night in the bar, it doesn't come out in a lozenge like that, does it? Yeah. If it came out in one lozenge, it's not very nice. Is everyone drinking, eating? Yes, everyone. We are in a bar. It's not a comfortable thing.
Now, the other ones here, these are little owl pellets, which have been collected by our UK projects manager from nest boxes. And I kind of wanted to ask your support, really, and trying to identify, perhaps, what this little owl might have eaten.
Okay, I didn't bring my glasses with me, so I'm going to struggle.
I can help.
Oh, you got okay, right? We've got a good old-fashioned magnifying lens.
So this being the barn owl pellet here, this one being the little owl pellet, obviously very much smaller. But if you can't quite see it, I'll try and move it around the light. They do. They're like little jewels, aren't they?
Glisten. They make nice earrings.
But I don't know what it is.
Okay.
What is inside there, do you think?
Well, I reckon it's going to be beetles, isn't it? I mean, anything metallic like that. Yeah, there's
kind of blue and purple.
There's beetle. I found fox droppings like this as well, especially when and it's door beetle season. The old Dumbledores, those beautiful beetles that you find burying dung all around our heaths, grasslands, and woodlands. But yeah, I'd say they're quite small fragments. They're going to be, there's glistening, there's ground beetles in there. There might even be a door beetle or 2 in there. You'd have to crumble it up, I guess, and have a look. But yeah, I would say there's the obvious bits are beetle. There'll also be, if I was to break that open, I'll tell you what we could do. We did this tomorrow. We can break it up and put it under a microscope.
That'd be great.
You would find there'd be thousands of setae in there, the hairs of earthworms. So if you've ever held an earthworm between your fingers, and again, it's another of those sensory things that you should do, just like poking slugs and licking them. If you take an earthworm, nice big chunky lumbricus earthworm, I'm a patron of the British Earthworm Society, have you know?
Are you? Wow.
Yeah. It exists. If you pull a worm backwards through your fingers, gently, because if you pull it too vigorously, it snaps, and it's not so good for the worm. But if you pull it gently between your fingers, you'll feel these sort of bristles. Even better, if you get it on a piece of dry paper and wait, it'll wriggle around because it won't like it very much. But if you listen to it, you've got basically what is, in effect, a squishy-looking animal, a moist, lubricious, squishy-looking thing. You stick it on a piece of paper, and it's making scratchy sounds. And that's because every segment has at least a pair, sometimes 2 pairs, of bristles, these setae. And that's what the worm uses. When you see blackbirds trying to pull a worm, or a buzzard, let's keep it birds of prey, a buzzard earthworming, right? So, but especially young buzzards at certain times of the year where they can't catch anything with any highly developed central nervous system. You've got these like loser buzzards walking about looking for food, and they find worms, and you see them pulling on these worms, and the worm will not give up. And what the worm's doing is the amount of worm in the burrow, it's just stuck its elbows out, is where its setae, its little bristles are sticking out, and they're one way. So it's kind of, you're trying to pull. Every single one of those increases massive resistance, or creates massive resistance to this worm being removed from its tunnel. So you've got these buzzards or blackbirds pulling away at these worms, and it's those hairs, the setae, which you will find in there. And I found them in little owl pellets before, because little owls are very insectivorous birds, as we all know, and they'll take beetles, they'll take mammals as well, but they are insectivorous. They're entomologists, basically. They will take beetles. I've seen them take wood lice, centipedes, moths. They like moths. They will like butterflies, caterpillars even. But worms are a favourite. With owls and owl pellets. Owl pellets, as we know, are really useful for getting a sense on other things. Even we've recorded, I think it was Greater White-Tooth Shrew. I think the first records in Ireland were recorded from a pellet session with some primary school kids, which is, dissecting owl pellets is one of the best pastimes. With the summer holidays upon you, score yourself some owl pellets. Sit down with the kids, your kids, someone else's kids. Obviously, ask the parents first. Your grandkids, cousins, whatever, it doesn't matter, just kids, right? Sit down, dissect an owl pellet, recreate the skeleton of the prey, get the skulls out, stick them together, stick them on a bit of black card. I even did an owl pellet demonstration years ago, and I had one of my guests, one of my clients, was one of Britain's leading knee surgeons. And he was fascinated. He actually re-articulated the leg and the knee of a field vole on camera. It was amazing, yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from an owl pellet.
Nick, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to chat.
It's a pleasure, Tom. Thank you.
It's been great after all these years. I've seen you on TV as a kid, now to be here chatting to you. It's a great pleasure. So
it's really nice
thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Nick
you.
Baker, everybody. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.